ghostly tales, yet mirrors of human life. Hey, everyone! Welcome to Encountering Chinese Ghostly Tales from Liao Zhai. Today, I'm going to tell you a story called Xiaoqian. In ancient China, people believed that after death, humans would transform into ghosts and drift into another realm known as the underworld or Hades. However, there were certain ghosts unable to depart from the human realm due to various reasons. Some were held back by unfulfilled wishes, while others were constrained by powerful enchantments cast by magical creatures. These ghosts were quite pitiable, wandering the human world without a home or a place to settle. Nevertheless, many of them still harbored human emotions and even developed feelings for humans. As a result, Chinese legends from antiquity are filled with stories of love between ghosts and humans. And today, we are going to share one such tale. In ancient Zhejiang, there lived a man named Xiaoqian. He was known for his generous and straightforward nature, as well as his upright and virtuous character. Xiaoqian would often tell others, "Throughout my life, besides my wife, I will never actively engage with other women." One day, Xiaoqian traveled to Genoa city for some business. As he reached the outskirts of the city's northern gate, he spotted a temple and decided to step inside for a moment of rest. Though the temple was spacious with a towering pagoda, its courtyard was overgrown with waist-high wild plants, as if it hadn't been inhabited for a long time. The east and west sides of the temple, originally meant for monks' residence, were now deserted, with doors slightly ajar. Only a small room on the southern side caught his attention. Its lock appeared newly replaced. Gazing toward the eastern corner of the main hall, Xiaoqian noticed tall bamboo, as thick as two hands held together. Beside the bamboo, there was a large pond adorned with lush lotus blossoms. Xiaoqian was captivated by the tranquil ambience, and coincidentally, there was a scholarly examination taking place in Genoa city. Given the expensive lodging costs in the city, Xiaoqian decided to spend the night in the temple. As he strolled around the temple, he waited for the arrival of the monks. As twilight descended, a robust man entered the temple and opened the door of the southern room. Seeing this, Xiaoqian hurried over, greeted the man with respect, and explained his intention to stay at the temple. The man replied, "This temple lacks monks, and I am also seeking refuge here. If you don't mind the desolation, we could share this space and have a pleasant chat." Xiaoqian was pleased by the suggestion, and in no time, he found an empty room, laid hay on the ground as a makeshift bed, and set up a wooden board as a table, planning to stay for a while. That night, a bright full moon illuminated the sky, casting a pristine glow as if it had been freshly cleansed with clear water. Xiaoqian and the sturdy man sat by the corridor in front of the Buddha hall, passing the time in conversation. They introduced themselves, with the sturdy man saying, "I'm Yan Qixia, surname Yan and given name Qixia." Noticing the man's accent, Xiaoqian suspected he wasn't from Zhejiang. Curious, he inquired about the man's hometown, and Yan Qixia revealed he hailed from the Qin region. During their chat, Xiaoqian found Yan Qixia to be open and sincere, and he deemed him to be a good person. After a while, their conversation waned, and they bid each other farewell, retiring to their respective rooms to rest. Ning Xichen, being new to the surroundings, had trouble falling asleep. Eventually, he heard hushed voices coming from the northern side of the building, as if people were engaged in conversation. Intrigued, he crouched beneath the stone window by the northern wall, peering out to observe the scene outside. He saw a small courtyard with a woman in her 40s and an elderly lady. The old lady, fragile and dressed in faded red garments, adorned her hair with a large silver comb. They were chatting under the moonlight. The woman said to the old lady, "Why hasn't Xiaoqian come for so long?" The old lady chuckled. "She'll probably be here soon." The woman continued, "Has Xiaoqian ever complained to you, Grandma?" The old lady responded, "I haven't heard her complain, but occasionally she does seem a bit downcast." The woman remarked, "This girl doesn't listen, you don't need to be overly kind to her." Just then, a girl of 17 or 18 years walked over. She was exceptionally beautiful, defying description. The old lady saw the girl and said with a smile, "It seems we shouldn't gossip behind others' backs. We were just talking about you, and you, little enchantress, sneak in without making a sound. Thankfully, we didn't speak ill of you." The old lady continued, "You truly are a beauty. If I were a man, I would surely lose my mind over you." The girl responded, "Only if Grandma praises me would anyone say I'm good." Later, the woman said a few words to the girl, but her voice was too soft for Ning Xichen to catch the conversation. Ning Xichen presumed that these people were likely local women engaged in casual conversation. Assuming it was nothing out of the ordinary, he stopped listening to their conversation and returned to his room to sleep. As time passed, the distant conversation faded away. Just as Ning Xichen was about to fall asleep, he sensed someone entering his room. Startled, he sat up and surveyed the surroundings, only to find that it was the same girl from the northern courtyard. Puzzled, Ning Xichen asked her why she had come to his room. With a smile, the girl said, "The moon is bright tonight, and I feel lonely by myself. I can't sleep, so I thought I'd sleep here with you." Ning Xichen maintained a stern expression and said solemnly, "You should be cautious of others' opinions, and I am also concerned about rumors. If we do something wrong, we will lose our integrity." The girl, however, seemed unconcerned and replied, "It's deep in the night, and no one will know about this." This angered Ning Xichen, and he scolded her a few more times. Even so, she still hesitated to leave and attempted to say something more to him. Raising his voice, Ning Xichen reprimanded, "Leave quickly. If you don't, I will call the person from the southern room." Hearing this threat, the girl became somewhat frightened, took a step back, and prepared to depart. Just as she was leaving, she turned back and placed a gold ingot on Ning Xichen's bed. Ning Xichen picked up the gold without hesitation and tossed it outside. He exclaimed, "I want nothing to do with your money. Such ill-gotten wealth would taint my purse." The girl, looking ashamed, left the room, picked up the gold, and muttered to herself, "This man's character is as unyielding as iron and stone." The next morning, a scholar and his servant arrived in Zhujiang from Lanqi County to participate in the examination. They also chose to stay at the temple, taking up residence in the eastern wing. However, during the night, the scholar suddenly died of unknown causes. There was a small hole on the sole of his foot, as if it had been pierced by a needle, and blood seeped through the tiny opening. No one knew what had transpired during the night. Another night passed, and the scholar's servant also mysteriously died, exhibiting the same symptoms as the scholar. As evening approached, Yan Qixia returned, and Ning Xichen questioned him about the strange events. Yan Qixia suggested that ghosts and demons might be involved. However, Ning Xichen, who never believed in such supernatural beings, dismissed Yan Qixia's explanation. At midnight, the same girl entered Ning Xichen's room again. She said to him, "I've encountered many people, but none as morally upright as you. You're a good person, and I don't dare deceive you. My name is Xiaoqian, surname Nie. I died at the age of 18. My body was buried next to this temple, and my soul cannot depart. Later, I was threatened by demons to perform these vile deeds, disregarding my own shame to interact with the people living here. However, I never willingly engaged in these actions. Now that there are no more potential victims left in this temple, I fear the Ikshas will come." Ning Xichen, feeling fearful, implored Xiaoqian for a solution. She suggested, "Tomorrow, go stay with the man surnamed Yan. This way, you can avoid calamity." Ning Xichen then asked, "Why didn't you deceive Yan Qixia?" Xiaoqian replied, "He's an extraordinary individual, and I dare not approach him." Ning Xichen further inquired, "How do you usually deceive others?" Xiaoqian responded, "For those who want to get close to me, I secretly prick their foot soles with a needle. Once they're unconscious, I take the opportunity to draw their blood and provide it to the demons to drink. For those who don't get close to me, I use gold to entice them. However, those pieces of gold are actually made from the bones of demons. Those who choose to keep the gold, I will extract their hearts and livers. These are two methods to appeal to their desires." Ning Xichen thanked Xiaoqian for revealing the truth and asked her when he needed to be cautious. Xiaoqian said, "Tomorrow night." As she was about to leave, she tearfully told Ning Xichen, "I'm a sinner and will face the harshest punishments in hell. I might never find redemption. I know you are a kind and righteous person, and I believe you can help me find salvation. If you're willing to wrap up my bones and return them to your hometown for burial, I will do everything in my power to repay your kindness." Ning Xichen firmly agreed. He then asked Xiaoqian where her remains were buried. Xiaoqian said, "Just remember a white poplar tree with a crow's nest. I'm buried beneath that tree." With those words, Xiaoqian left the room and disappeared in an instant. The following day, Ning Xichen was afraid that Yan Qixia would go out, so he went over early to invite him to his own residence for a gathering. As dusk approached, Ning Xichen prepared a table of food and invited Yan Qixia to share a drink. At the same time, he closely observed Yan Qixia's demeanor. Ning Saichun suggested that Yan Qixia stay in the same room as him, but Yan Qixia declined, stating that he was reclusive and preferred solitude. Despite Yan Qixia's protests, Ning Saichun insisted on moving all of Yan Qixia's belongings into his room. Yan Qixia had no choice but to move his own bed as well, sharing the same living quarters with Ning Saichun. Yan Qixia cautioned Ning Saichun, saying, "I know you're a good person, and I greatly admire your character. However, I have some things on my mind that I can't reveal at the moment. Please don't tamper with or inspect the contents of the box I've brought. If you go against my wishes, it won't benefit either of us." Ning Saichun nodded in agreement. Not long after, both men lay down on their beds, preparing to sleep. Yan Qixia placed the small box on the windowsill and was soon snoring loudly. However, Ning Saichun couldn't fall asleep due to fear. At midnight, there was a faint figure outside the window. Before long, the figure approached the window and peered in. Terrified, Ning Saichun was about to call out to Yan Qixia when suddenly something burst through the window and flew out of the room. The object sparkled like a piece of white silk and shattered the window lattice. It then swiftly returned with a whoosh. The entire process happened as fast as lightning. Yan Qixia sensed the noise and sat up, while Ning Saichun pretended to be asleep, secretly observing everything around him. He noticed that Yan Qixia took out the small box and examined its contents. Yan Qixia extracted an item from the box, faced the moonlight, and both smelled and gazed at it. The object was clear and shiny, about 2 inches long, and as wide as a chive leaf. After careful inspection, Yan Qixia wrapped the small item in several layers before placing it back into the already damaged box. He muttered to himself, "This old ghost is so audacious. It even broke my small box." He then lay back down to sleep. Ning Saichun was astonished by what he had witnessed. He sat up and recounted everything to Yan Qixia, asking for an explanation. Yan Qixia said, "We've developed a strong friendship, so I'll tell you everything. I'm actually an exorcist. Today, if it weren't for this window lattice, the demon would have died already. However, it's already injured." Ning Saichun inquired, "What was the thing you wrapped up just now?" Yan Qixia replied, "It's my paired sword. I smelled it just now and detected demonic energy." Ning Saichun wanted to see it, and Yan Qixia gladly showed him, revealing a small sword emitting a radiant light. As a result, Ning Saichun's respect and admiration for Yan Qixia grew. The next day, Ning Saichun noticed bloodstains outside the window. He left the temple and headed north, finding a field dotted with numerous graves. Sure enough, one grave mound had a white poplar tree growing on it, with a crow's nest on its branches. Ning Saichun made up his mind. He packed his belongings and prepared to return home. Yan Qixia got wind of this and threw a farewell banquet for him. During the feast, Yan Qixia presented Ning Saichun with a torn leather bag and said, "This is a sword bag. You should treasure it well. It can protect you from ghosts and evil spirits." Ning Saichun expressed his desire to learn swordsmanship from him. Yan Qixia responded, Someone as honest and upright as you is indeed suitable to learn swordsmanship. However, your destiny is one of wealth and prosperity. You won't end up like us. Xiaoqian told others that he had a sister buried here and proceeded to unearth Xiaoqian's remains. He wrapped them in clothes and rented a small boat to take her home. Near Xiaoqian's home was a barren land where he decided to bury Xiaoqian's remains. After burying Xiaoqian, Xiaoqian faced the grave and said, "You lonely and unfortunate spirit, I've buried you near my home so that I can hear your singing and crying. If other spirits bully you, I'll come to drive them away. Please have some of this soup, even though it might not taste great. I hope you won't mind." After praying, Xiaoqian turned to leave. Suddenly, someone called out from behind, "Slow down, wait for me." When Xiaoqian turned around, it was Xiaoqian herself. She was smiling brightly and said to Xiaoqian, "You truly are a man of honor. I would be willing to die 10 times over to repay your kindness. Please introduce me to your parents. From now on, I'm willing to be your servant or concubine and will never regret it." Xiaoqian carefully observed Xiaoqian, noticing her fair and rosy skin resembling the glow of dawn, and her small feet were as slender as bamboo shoots. Xiaoqian's daytime appearance was even more beautiful than at night. So, he took Xiaoqian home with him. He instructed her to wait in the living room while he spoke to his mother. His wife had been bedridden due to illness, so his mother advised against revealing the situation to her to prevent her from being startled. As they were talking, Xiaoqian gracefully entered the room and knelt down. Xiaoqian said to his mother, "This is Xiaoqian." His mother looked at Xiaoqian in surprise, unsure of what to do. Xiaoqian spoke to his mother, "I am a lonely and destitute spirit, far from my own parents and siblings. I am grateful for your son's kindness and am willing to marry him to repay his favor." His mother saw Xiaoqian's gentle and beautiful appearance and was no longer afraid, engaging in conversation with her. His mother said to Xiaoqian, "Young lady, if you're willing to take care of my son, I'll naturally be very happy. However, I only have this one son in my lifetime. I'm depending on him to inherit the family business and raise children. How could I let him marry a ghost?" Xiaoqian replied, "Respected elder, rest assured, I have no ill intentions. Since I, a deceased person, can't earn your trust, let's address each other as siblings for now. I'll live with you and serve you day and night. Is that acceptable?" The mother felt sympathy for her sincerity and agreed. Xiaoqian wanted to meet Xiaoqian's wife, but his mother said it wasn't suitable due to her illness, so she dropped the idea. Instead, Xiaoqian immediately entered the kitchen to cook for his mother. She moved around the house as if she had lived there for a long time. In the evening, the mother still felt a bit uneasy about Xiaoqian and asked her to sleep in the grave instead of providing her a bed. Xiaoqian understood the mother's concern and left immediately. As she approached Xiaoqian's study, she hesitated to go inside, backing away instead. She hovered outside the door as if afraid of something. Xiaoqian invited her in, and she said, "There's a sword aura for exorcising demons in this room. That's why I didn't come out to greet you when you arrived earlier. Thinking it might be due to the leather bag Yan Qixia had given him, Ning Xichen took it down and hung it in another room. Xiaoqian then entered, sitting near the candlelight. After a while, Xiaoqian didn't speak a word. As time passed, she finally asked, "Do you still read at night?" "I used to read the Xiaoqian Sutra when I was young, though I've mostly forgotten it now. Can you lend me a copy? That way, during my free time at night, I can read." Ning Xichen agreed, and Xiaoqian continued to sit in silence. By the late hours of the night, she still didn't want to leave. Ning Xichen urged her to go, but Xiaoqian sadly said, "I am a lonely soul dwelling in a foreign land. I truly fear returning to that desolate tomb." Ning Xichen responded, "But there's no spare bed in the room, and it's also best for us as siblings to avoid suspicion." Xiaoqian stood up, brows furrowed, her mouth twitching as if on the verge of tears. She raised her foot as if unwilling to leave, walking back and forth, and finally reached the doorway, disappearing down the steps. Ning Xichen felt great pity for Xiaoqian and wanted to let her stay in another room, but he was concerned about his mother's reaction. In the morning, Xiaoqian woke up early, greeted the mother, and brought her a basin of water for washing. She then attended to household chores in the yard. She was diligent, efficient, and everything she did aligned perfectly with the mother's wishes. As days went by, the whole family, including Xiaoqian, grew closer. The elderly mother even began to love Xiaoqian like her own daughter, forgetting that she was a ghost. Sometimes at night, the mother wouldn't let Xiaoqian leave and would have her stay the night. When Xiaoqian first arrived, she wouldn't eat or drink. But after half a year, she gradually started to have some thin gruel. Both the mother and son doted on Xiaoqian and never mentioned her being a ghost in her presence. The neighbors around them had no clue either. Before long, Ning Seichen's wife passed away. In private, the mother began to consider Xiaoqian as a daughter-in-law, yet she was still concerned that Xiaoqian might inadvertently harm her son. Xiaoqian sensed the mother's thoughts and took the opportunity to say, "I've been living here for over a year now. You should know by now that I mean no harm. I don't want to cause trouble for anyone anymore, which is why I followed Ning Xichen here. I have no ulterior motive towards him. I simply know that he's an upright person, admired even by celestial beings. I only wanted to live here for 3 to 5 years, just to have a sense of belonging. That way, even when I go to the underworld in the future, I can proudly tell other ghosts that I was once someone's wife." The mother recognized Xiaoqian's sincerity but remained worried about her potential impact on her son's future family. Xiaoqian comforted the mother further. "Children are blessings from above. Your son's destiny is one of wealth and prosperity. He'll have 3 sons who will honor the family's ancestors. None of this will be compromised by him marrying a ghost." The mother believed Xiaoqian's words and discussed it with her son. Ning Xichen was delighted, so they hosted a lavish banquet and invited relatives and friends. During the feast, someone suggested that the bride be brought out to be seen. Xiaoqian readily stepped out in magnificent attire. The sight of Xiaoqian left the room in awe. Instead of suspecting she was a ghost, they considered her an ethereal fairy who had descended to earth. The news of Ning Seichen's beautiful wife spread quickly, and family members from afar came bearing gifts to congratulate them. They competed to visit, hoping to become friends with Xiaoqian. Xiaoqian was also skilled in painting, particularly in drawing orchids and plum blossoms. She often gifted her artwork to relatives as a sign of gratitude. Those who received her paintings cherished them and took pride in possessing them. One day, Xiaoqian sat by the window with a worried and anxious expression. Suddenly, she asked Ning Saichen, "Husband, do you remember that leather bag? Where did you put it?" Ning Saichen replied, "I know you were afraid of it, so I stored it somewhere else." Xiaoqian said, "I've endured human vitality for a long time. I shouldn't fear it anymore. Today, it's best if you bring it and hang it by the bedside." Ning Saichen found this strange and asked her about her intentions. Xiaoqian explained, "These past few days, I've been feeling uneasy. I suspect that the demon from Jinhua City, whom I escaped from, might come here sooner or later to find me." As a result, Ning Saichen retrieved the leather bag. Xiaoqian examined it carefully and said, "This is a bag that gods use to store human heads. Look at how worn out it is. I can only imagine how many demon heads it has chopped off. Seeing it now still gives me goosebumps." She then had Ning Saichen hang the leather bag by the bedside. The next day, Xiaoqian was still worried, so she asked Ning Saichen to hang the bag on the front door. At night, Xiaoqian and Ning Saichen sat facing each other. She warned Ning Saichen not to sleep tonight. Suddenly, something resembling a flying bird dropped down, causing Xiaoqian to hide behind the curtain. Ning Saichen took a look and saw the creature resembling a demon. It had two sparkling eyes like lightning and a blood-red tongue. The monster rushed towards the room with teeth and claws bared, but it stepped back a few paces upon reaching the door. It lingered outside for a while before daring to approach the hanging leather bag. The creature extended its claws to grab it, as if it wanted to tear the bag apart. Suddenly, the bag made a clattering sound and expanded to the size of a large basket. In a flash, it seemed as though a ghostly figure emerged halfway from the bag and yanked the demon inside. Then, all sound ceased, and the bag shrank back to its original size. Witnessing this scene, Ning Saichen felt both fear and astonishment. Xiaoqian peeked out from behind the curtain and joyfully told Ning Saichen, "It's over now. We're safe." They took down the bag together and discovered that there was only some clear water inside. A few more years passed, and as expected, Ning Saichen passed the imperial examination and became an official. Xiaoqian also gave birth to a son. Xiaoqian also encouraged Ning Saichen to take a concubine. Within 2 years, both the concubine and Xiaoqian bore sons. Eventually, Ning Saichen's 3 sons grew up to be outstanding officials, which elevated the reputation of the entire Ning family in the local area. Alright. That's all for today's ghostly tale, Nie Xiaoqian. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please also encourage everyone to comment and share more. We'll see you in the next episode.